What is up, everybody, and welcome back to First Impressions. And honestly, this is more like full impressions, but I feel like this is the only place that I can talk about this game on the channel without making a new show. So here we go. Today I want to talk about Little Nightmares 2, a game that I was actually pretty excited about coming into this year. It was one of those games that had a release date that I was pretty set on playing, and I just finished it. So I want to tell you about my thoughts. This game is fantastic. Little Nightmares 2 is a treat, and I should say off the top that I did not play Little Nightmares 1. I just never got around to it. I think I played a little bit of it. I played actually a little bit of it at New York Comic Con before it launched, and it was good. It looked cool, but it just didn't really pique my interest too much. My partner is really invested in the Little Nightmares franchise. She kind of talked my ear off about Little Nightmares 1, so I decided to give Little Nightmares 2 a chance. I should say, from my point of view, I was able to play this game and not feel like I missed out on a bunch of things or was missing out on a bunch of ties. There definitely are ties to the first game that are very abundant for people that have played the game, but for someone that is just jumping into the franchise, I think you can totally play Little Nightmares 2 and have a fantastic time. It is so dark, it is so creepy, yet it is also so charming in a way. The characterization of both of the main characters, that you play as one character who is also with the character from the first game, and that's an NPC basically that follows you around and helps you with puzzles. I was very surprised at how much emotional investment that I had in these characters, because there's no speaking in the entire game. It is mostly just grunts and, you know, vague like, hello, come here, things like that. And even though maybe I didn't get the intricacies of what exactly is happening, I get the general gist, and I felt for the main character that I was playing as. Now, the main character that I'm playing as is named Mono. I didn't know this because it's not really said throughout the game at all, and I just called him Loam. I don't know why, it was the first thing that came to my head, so when I was playing the game I would just say, oh, that's Loam. And then of course when I found the NPC character, who is 6 from the first game, I named that person Gnome. So I'm probably going to refer to them as Loam and Gnome throughout this review, but I don't care, and I will not apologize. I will not apologize to any Little Nightmares fans. It's Gnome and Loam in my headcanon, and you can't change my mind. Gnome and Loam went on this adventure, and it is truly a masterclass in game design. The worlds are just so creepy, and they are filled with so many little Easter eggs and little areas for you to explore where you feel like you are not supposed to be there, right? You are in these environments where you are constantly feeling like you are watched, like you are in trouble, like you are the standout, and you never feel like you are in a safe space in the entire video game. And it's a fucking scary game. I honestly would consider this a horror game, but I'm also playing Resident Evil 7 in conjunction with this game, and I've probably had just as many jump scares and moments where I'm like truly scared in Resident Evil 7 as I've had in Little Nightmares 2. So it's definitely a creepy video game. If I were to like compare it to any other film that I've seen, in terms of look and atmosphere and everything like that, it would be probably like Coraline, which was something that kind of blew my mind because I was like, oh shit, imagine if these people made a Coraline video game, it'd be fantastic. So the standout to me in Little Nightmares 2 was the puzzles. The puzzles for me just felt very logical, and they didn't really have that leap of conclusions that I feel like a lot of lesser puzzle games have, where you play a puzzle and you're kind of having a tough time going through it, and then you get to the end and you're like, really, that was the solution? Like that's kind of lame. And I feel like with Little Nightmares 2, they are able to create these puzzles that continuously change throughout the game, and that's also a testament to the ever-changing game design throughout it. There's moments of combat, there's moments of auditory puzzles, there's moments of physics puzzles. Like, there's a lot of different types of puzzles within it, but they all feel rooted within the Little Nightmares game that they're creating. This is a really grounded and fun puzzle game, and it also goes back to the game design and the world building, where you want to interact with all of these objects. I kind of became obsessed with picking up things and learning about the environments. I even got to the point where I was running around places where I knew that there was nothing of interest there, and there was nothing that they really wanted me to look at. I ended up kind of going into corners and looking for things and just trying to explore the world as much as possible, because it's just a really beautiful place to get gotten lost in. And I think that the game is continuously smart and clever. The main issue with Little Nightmares 2 is that sometimes it's not as clever as it should be. And that's not with the puzzles, but that's with the combat sections. Now, I can't get into certain specifics of this game because there's spoilers and things like that, but there are enemies in this game, and there are literal combat sections in the school level, which is, I believe, the second level in the game. And it's rough. And the reason why is because the camera and the controls aren't as precise as any other game that requires action and really intense, pixel perfect, like hitting of somebody. This game demands that of you at certain points, where there's these dolls, they're running at you, and you have like a hammer, like a sledgehammer, and you have to hit them in the head with it. And it's not as lenient as it should be, because it just, if you miss by 1 second or if you miss by half a second, they kill you and you have to start over the entire level, or the entire section rather, again. And it's more just annoying than anything. This game's about vibes, right? This game is about feeling what is happening around you, feeling the atmosphere, and really immersing yourself in it. And it is so frustrating when you go down sections of this game and you have to fight these enemies that require pixel perfect accuracy, essentially, and the game just doesn't have that. So you continuously fail, and you don't feel like it's your fault, you feel like it's the game's fault. And that's annoying, because this entire game is all about amazing game design, and when I fail a puzzle, I feel like it's my fault and not the game's fault. And now there's a lot of sections in this game where you start to just play and you're like, if the game is just a little more lenient, or if the game had a better camera system or something like that, you start blaming the game, and that's never a place you want to be in with, especially a game like this. And you don't want to ruin moments. Like, there's so many great moments throughout this game, like specifically there's a chase in the latter half of the game, right, where this big creature is chasing after you. It's one of the big climaxes in the game, and you have to just get from the end of the corridor to the other corridor by running, right, just running in a straight line. And the way the camera's set up and the movement of it is, I just kept on getting screwed up a little bit. And I really do mean a little bit, in one of the sections where I would hit a door, like I would bump into a door, and I would immediately course correct and keep on walking straight. And that millisecond of screw up time would make the bad guy get me, and then I have to restart the entire section over and over again. I did it 3 times. If it's such a small screw up leads you to going back and redoing an entire section, it really takes away a lot of the goodwill and all of the energy and suspense that that sequence allows and brings to the table. So I think that is something that the game really could have used, a little bit more leniency in those moments. And I understand that that's what the game's theme is. The game's theme is essentially like, hey, you are always at a disadvantage. And I totally get that. You needed to feel at a disadvantage, but not by the game's sake. You need to feel at a disadvantage, like in the puzzles. In the puzzles, you are fighting against these enemies, and you have to be really clever with getting around them, or sneaking around them, or using distractions. That's awesome. But when you are running around and you have an axe and you have to hit the button at the exact precise time, and the game just doesn't allow for it, you have to run at a lightning speed perfectly, and you bump into the wall because the game's camera's wonky. Like, that is not a good way to build challenge. I think the game could have used more puzzle sections instead of those combat sections, because I feel like they really drag down the pace of the game. I know it sounds very negative, but those are just the sections that stood out to me as being negative. Other than that, I am really high on this game. I think that if you have never played a Little Nightmares game, if you enjoy a game like Inside or something like that, you should play Little Nightmares. You would really enjoy this game. It is a really great narrative. I think there needs to be more games like this, and I really am excited to see where this universe goes, and or what this studio does in the future, because this is just a really unique, really gorgeous, really scary video game that is worth your time. So if you have played it, let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you're thinking about getting it, if you want to talk about it, tweet at me at Rajformer on Twitter. And if you like this format for first impressions, maybe we'll do some more. And maybe Tim lets me upload this. He might not. Bye bye.